Right, greetings everybody. We're here at ARC. We're talking to Doug Warren of AVEVA Corporation, which is the largest market share for the visualization. So I think I heard the number yesterday was 2.5 million installs for the visualizations. We'll talk more about it. I want to talk some of the new announcements that you made on operation controls, and perhaps let's define what is that, and then maybe talk about some of the new features.
Okay, sounds great. Great to be here to share this time with you. We're well known in the industry for a number of different HMI and SCADA brands, and it really spawned from a legacy brand of ours, Wonderware, and products that have been around in the market for 30 years, products like InTouch, and then more recently products like System Platform. We also have more of an edge offer and then a higher end offer that we use specifically for pipeline management. Now, those were individual products and they were all licensed in fairly traditional ways, largely perpetual licenses that were based on the number of tags that they were collecting data from, the number of servers, perhaps the number of clients. Like I said, a very traditional commercial model. We introduced operations control about 3 years ago, and as opposed to being entirely on-premise like our traditional SCADA offers are, it's what we call a hybrid SaaS offer. So it has on-prem components that allow you to do very deterministic control on your plant floor, while at the same time some other cloud-based entitlements that expand beyond the traditional HMI SCADA capabilities that are designed really to monitor and control your process, your plant, whatever, and towards other more digital transformation oriented type functions. Things like, how do I digitally collaborate through my entire enterprise? When something happens on the plant floor, I'm collecting that information, I'm alerted to that information immediately by the SCADA system, but then how do I notify engineering, or how do I notify maintenance? To build all that into a single kind of user experience, collaboration is a big element. If I want to share data with the rest of my supply chain, I have supply chain partners that are providing me with raw materials just in time. How do I let them know that my Kanban is getting low, and I want to make sure that they're notified of that and can provide me with the raw materials I need? Or maybe it's more of a sustainability initiative where I'm linked to my supply chain partners in order to satisfy that particular sustainability type, and I need critical data from them. So much broader than what we used to do in the control room, now looking at enterprise value propositions and how we digitize an entire operations. Right. That's what operations control does. And what's really cool about it is that rather than being or leveraging that same traditional commercial model, first of all, it's only available in subscription, and more specifically, our AVEVA Flex currency, Flex credits. So a customer can buy any part of the AVEVA portfolio, which is quite broad, with a single contractual agreement that allows them to buy and consume Flex credits. That's how you buy and leverage operations control. So different commercial model, only available on a Flex subscription. But I'd say more than that is the architectural flexibility that provides. It's that model. That commercial model is based on the number of users, not based on tags, not based on clients or servers, based on the number of users. So let's say I'm a fairly new enterprise, and I have, let's say, 4 plants, and each plant has 6 lines. Going in, I might not know exactly how I want the architecture to fit, and and I'm not ready to put together a bill of materials of everything that I need to run this in an efficient, effective, modern way. Doesn't matter. How many people are you going to have connecting to that? How many people do you have in operations? How many people do you have that are specifically designated for control rooms? How many people in engineering need to see the data? Count the number of users. That's how we size the system, and then you can run. So complete architectural flexibility in the form of a flex-based subscription that allows access to the entire AVEVA portfolio. That's operations control, still based on a lot of the same on-prem technologies that we've used for 15, 20, 25, 30 years as far as the on-prem components, but now offering a whole bunch of other SaaS-based entitlements as well.
Got it. Now you've mentioned 4 plants. Is that a sweet spot, 4 locations? Or is it, what would you call the sweet spot, right? Do you have a smaller number of, smaller companies may want to leverage individual products like an InTouch? You have the larger ones. What is the sweet spot?
To be honest, the early growth, and this offer's been in the marketplace for about 3 years, the early growth was with some of our largest customers. They'll generally tend to be in food and bev, consumer packaged goods. So they were the first adopters. Again, flexibility, I've got a number of plants around the world, et cetera, et cetera. They were the first adopters. We'll call them our tier 1 customers. It's as the years have gone by, we've moved down into tier 2 customers because they're seeing some value in it as well. There is I suppose, a limit today. If you had fewer than maybe, to use your example, 4 plants, that might be kind of the break point between the cost benefit of the older model versus the cost benefit of operations control. We have different mechanisms, different commercial models to suit that more, maybe entry level isn't the right term to use, but maybe that tier 3 customer, to get them started with some of our technologies that may lead to operations control as they gain greater operational and digital maturity. That's a real part of our overall strategy to make sure that we capture those maybe more startup-oriented companies early, maybe with a different commercial model than ops control, but certainly it would be our view to grow with them over time. We're not a short-term player here. We've been doing this for 35 years or so, and plan to continue to do it for the next 35. So to continue to grow with customers as their business grows and matures, that's what it's about, and we have commercial models to help with that as well.
Got it. Thank you for that clarification and definition. You've launched maybe a couple of months ago an AI assistant is integrated in your industrial operation. What are some of the biggest misconceptions about AI-driven insights in the decision-making tool?
That's an interesting question in that I think whenever we're talking about AI, regardless of the type, and in this context you've mentioned specifically sort of our industrial AI assistant, immediately it conjures up in a lot of people's minds images of replacing humans, or maybe even a bit of a cybersecurity threat. So let's put a couple of those things to rest early on here. Really, with our industrial AI assistant, it's viewed as a tool to help gather information quicker. So everybody's somewhat familiar with ChatGPT, large language model. This is AVEVA's large language model that is designed specifically for industrial applications. And you can imagine how much time any individual wastes searching for data. Searching for data so they can put together a report, searching for data for the sake of sustainability initiatives, searching for data even just around some kind of a maintenance analysis, root cause analysis, those kinds of things. Well, we can turn that kind of search for data from a 2-day effort, a week-long effort that can only happen once in a month because that's all the time that we have. We can turn that into something that takes 5 minutes at the most. Type in a question, get a response, refine that question to get an even more detailed response, search through a manual, and all the time doing it only within the confines of your own corporate network. We're not going out and scouring the internet to try to find information about your plants and the equipment you have in your plants. This large language model is only focused on your specific data, pointed at whatever databases where you store that information, and really allows you to do more in less time. So as people and resources get harder and harder to find, to train, to retain, now we're not wasting those precious resources' time on superfluous and somewhat mundane activities. They're able to get the information they need to make the decisions and get that optimization or whatever it happens to be moving quicker than it ever would have before, thus requiring probably fewer new hires, or those ones that do get up to speed in a safe and efficient manner much, much quicker. So that really addresses the point around replacing humans. It's not what it's about. It's making them more efficient so they can get on to more value-added activities. From a cybersecurity standpoint, I said we're not scouring the internet and exposing your data. We're only directing the large language model on within your corporate confines, within your secure network. It's designed with cybersecurity in mind right from the get-go. So I think a lot of people would find that a lot of the hybrid SaaS or pure SaaS cloud-based offers are actually more secure than even those on-prem systems that have been out there for years. So let's take those two particular objections off the table and move on to other things.
Thank you for that. And maybe while on the same note, what do you see as the biggest risk for the operations controls or perhaps the whole visualization portfolio? Is it the cyber? Is it the technology that somebody may create a whole new operation and controls leveraging a large model, kind of like Tesla replaced 300,000 worth of code with an AI base? What keeps you up at night?
There are certainly a lot of technological advantages that could supplant some of the traditional ways that we monitor and control our plants. As far as ones that we see as the most risky, I wouldn't say that AI or anything like that is really on the forefront there. I would say the biggest risk is generally the speed of adoption of some of these new technologies. Mm-hmm. That'd be the first thing. I mean, in industry, that is no big surprise, digitization has come slowly. They tend to be very conservative organizations protecting the assets of the mm-hmm. company that are there. So getting to a point where some of those newer technologies are adopted on a safe but more frequent basis, I think that's a big risk. I'd say the other big risk is around the workforce. Attracting new workers. Industry isn't always perceived as the sexiest place to go and spend your career. So how
I still have to tell my family what I do for a living.
Yeah. So how do we attract from colleges and universities? How do we attract the best and the brightest to work in industry where it's kind of thought of as, hard hats and work boots and kind of dirty? Well, again, coming back to technology, there are some very interesting tools that are available today. The AVEVA Industrial AI Assistant is one of them. That can take that digital native that was born with a game console in their hands, to sort of coin a bit of a phrase, and do something similar, but in an industrial context. And I think attracting that talent, which has a demand for a certain level of technology. They don't want to be running around with a clipboard and a pencil to collect their data. They demand more, and quite frankly, it's available. So let's work together to find a way to implement some of these technologies in a safe and secure way over a period of time, and put together programs that allow us to renew those technologies as they're required by, whether it's different regulatory pressures or whether it's just due to operating systems needing upgrades and hardware systems needing upgrades. Let's get on a program where that can be refreshed on a more frequent basis than it has in the past, and I think we're off to the races.
Fast forward 5 years from now, what do you see one thing in the industrial operations software that will look completely different today, in your view?
Well, I think, when we talk about some of these maybe even larger companies that are operating a fleet of plants around the world, one of the common things that we see today that I don't think we'll see in 10 years is each of those plants operates in a somewhat siloed way. They have their systems, they do their OEE calculations a certain way, and then they display those KPIs. They display them in the way that they want to. Well, why do I have to repeat that 300 times across my 300 plants? And why don't I have a single version of the truth? It has a lot to do with how those plants were set up and how we want them to run in a somewhat autonomous way. But 10 years from now, I don't think it'll be that way at all. I think what you'll see is a hybrid cloud solution that allows a single version of the truth, a single version of the MES OEE calculation, a common set of metrics across all 300 plants, and that will allow, at a sort of a control tower layer, allow the organization, the enterprise, to manage all those plants in a consistent way, to drive the same efficiencies out of every one of those plants. So those data silos will disappear, and they'll be replaced with something that almost has to be cloud-based in order to get the kind of scalability and the kind of access that is required. I think the other thing is that while today AI and ML models are being applied to drive better energy consumption, less waste, let's say higher throughput, better quality, golden batch, repeatability, those kinds of things. AI is capable of that today, but not deployed at scale yet. Everybody's playing around with it, doing a proof of concept here or a proof of value there, but very few are deploying at scale. 10 years from now, it'll be commonplace. You won't be having to rely on someone staring at a console to ensure that your quality metrics, the ones that are leading indicators, are spot on going in so that the product coming out is exactly within spec. You won't have somebody tuning the dial to do that. That'll all be done by AI, and that'll leave that operator to look for the next creative and innovative thing to drive better efficiency in your organization, something new that you want to point that AI ML model at. So breaking down data silos, taking that data, which is absolutely critical to applying AI and ML, those kinds of things, and doing so at scale, doing so to solve many problems that today haven't been tackled yet. That's the foundational change that will take place. And I think the workforce has to evolve considerably to help get there from here. And we'll use a lot of the same technologies to enable that workforce. So,
thank you, Doug. And if you're in the audience and you have questions for Doug or someone in Doug's team, feel free to leverage the hashtag that you see on the screen. So thank you.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.